sense about it, but it doesn't feel like it's
okay, I'm not going to do
empowering.
it, so thank you for that.
Okay. I wrote my little thing out.
When you talk about a quality you had to release.
Yes, I emailed it to you this morning. It's going to be, I had to let go of just enough to get by and move into faith. Okay?
Welcome to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Lee Glickstein, grateful member. I think you are all sitting. Please turn off your cell phones, all the way off and then some. And please take this opportunity to greet your neighbor as you would greet yourself.
Hey, neighbor. Again. Good morning, Tinman.
So, thank you. At Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, we know that wherever you are in your spiritual path, there's something wonderful for you here this morning. When I got here 4 years ago, just the way I was greeted at the door, I knew I felt immediately seen. And shortly thereafter, I joined a Sunday service team so I could do the greeting. And I've been doing that for 4 years, third Sunday of the month. This is today. And I want, no, not about applause. This has been my way of being involved in the community in such a fun and satisfying way. Greeting people, collecting donations, and handing out bulletins, and creating that scene. And so I suggest if any of you want to get involved in the community at that level, there are openings on Sunday service teams, including the third Sunday. So, the words to the morning's chant are going to be on there they are, led by our wonderful musical director, Bodie, followed by a spiritual mind treatment by Reverend Carol to take you deeper into your center.
I and the Mother are one. I and the Mother are one. I know, I am. I and the Mother are one. Father, and I and the Father are one. I and the Father are one. I know, I am. I and the Father are one. I and the presence are one. I and the presence are one. I know, I am. I and the presence are one. I and prosperity are one. I and prosperity are one. I know, I am. I and prosperity are one. I and the waters are one. I and the waters are one. I know, I am. I and the waters
morning. I'm Reverend Carol Huntley, and I am so happy to be a part of the communities that are bringing you Michael Beckwith on Friday night. Now, instead of doing a spiritual mind treatment this morning, I'm going to do a short visioning that is the process that Michael brought to the spiritual world, actually. And the idea is that there are unlimited futures. And in the divine mind, in that divine pattern that is everywhere, there is a future that is filled with brightness and light and love and peace and divine expression. It is absent conflict and confusion. And that is the future that we are striving to catch in visioning. We do not imagine it, it is delivered to us. And so visioning is a lot about allowing, not making it happen. So if you trust me, just turn within and we'll do a short one. Allowing ourselves to feel the love of the infinite presence. Perhaps remembering a time when we knew that we were loved and we were loving right back. In fact, we were in a bubble of love. Bringing that into our memory right now. And as we do, we can imagine it happening right now. And from this place of love, we ask the infinite divine wisdom, higher power, spirit, to show us a vision of Friday night, the greatest, highest, deepest, sweetest, most powerful vision for that big auditorium at the county center when Michael Beckwith will take the stage. Anything is appropriate to catch. A word, a sight, a sound, a feeling. And then we ask ourselves, actually we ask the higher power within us, what is my part of this vision? And then we ask, is there something that I can change about my beliefs or ways of being that make me a welcome place for this vision? Is there something I can leave off doing or something I can open to that will make me a welcome place for this vision? And then we ask that sweet question, is there anything else in this moment that I need to know? And giving thanks now for whatever was revealed. We come back into this place, remembering the love that surrounds us. So that's how sweet it is, that practice. You can do it for anything. Right now, I'd like us to welcome our own family brother who is also the director of our entire music program, who is in concert on Wednesday, October 26th. Bodie is doing a house concert with Steve, and his flyers are right over here, but right now he's doing a house concert right here. Little short one. Please welcome Bodie Sechko.
I'm doing some experimenting here, bringing my roots back. Glow of the fire, peace of the night, memories dissolving, feeling alright, letting the past go. I see myself now, embracing the moment. I know that somehow I am guided. I am guided. I am guided to you. Storm on the ocean awakens my dream. Mist on the mountain, the wild rushing stream, memories dissolving, the fog from the shore. Village is lifting. I know that once more I am guided. I am guided. I am guided to you. Glow of the fire, the peace of the night, memories dissolve, feeling alright, letting the past go. I see myself now, embracing the moment. that somehow I know I'll be guided. I'll be guided. I'm guided to you. I am guided. I am guided to you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Good morning. My name is Michael Hart, and I'm here to share some of the wonderful goings-on of our community with you. But before we do that, we want to bless our children on their way to their learning. And I thought maybe we should just look at our shoes, look at the bottom of our shoes, and see if any of that new grass is on our feet. Have you noticed that it's already getting green all over the hills of Marin County? And then maybe we should feel our heads and see if any of that rain that was falling, that was refreshing anything, is still there. And then we can just send them on their way with love and with our knowing that they will discover God in all those things. So have a wonderful time, children of all ages. And then we also like to move into gratitude. And what else would we be giving gratitude for this week but everyone who has worked on, everyone who has bought a ticket for the Michael Beckwith event. So let's give a great hand to ourselves. Yeah, really. I've heard stories about people who have bought just a bunch of tickets and given them away, not only to support our community in doing that, but also to support those people's evolution into understanding what we stand for, so that they might become fed as we will be fed at this event. And so just as our first announcement, I wanted to invite Sue and her team up. Come.
Good morning, everyone. I have the program. I got too many things in my hand. So come over to our event table and you can take a look at how beautiful this program is. It's being made right here and right now. The next thing I have to show you is this is our surprise. This is what the volunteers get. And the choir, they're all going to wear it. Ta-da! And read the back. And my holder. And I have over here at our table the volunteer list with your assignments. So everybody come and take a look. And if you haven't signed up, we have a few spots. So come and take a look. And I sent out the video to everybody. And if you didn't get it, go to our website. It's there. Send it to your friends. This is Grassroots. And Jean here. Jean is part of our choir. We have 102 people in the choir from around the world.
And some of you are here this morning, so would you stand up, please? Mary, Willem, who else? Come on, who else? Robin, is she here? Okay, whoever is in the choir along with me, all right. Anyhow, I was thinking about this, of doing a little bit of a plug, and so this is a plug for everything. And anyhow, this is the time of your life. Take your friends and or your wife to the show Friday night at 7:30. to experience the magical music of the Celebration Choir with Willem, Mary, Robin, yours truly, and many others, as we sing joyously with the fabulous Ricky Byers, along with Michael the Magnificent with his marvelous message. And this is what you'll want to do. Get your tickets for the show and release yourself and go.
So I hope I'll be seeing you all there on Friday night. So moving on to other things that are going on in our community. We are still having our huge book sale, so don't forget to visit and get some great bargains. And this is supporting our youth and family ministries. I heard they've already made hundreds of dollars on the book sale, so don't forget there's still a ton of books over there. And also this Thursday, October 27th, not this Thursday, next Thursday, a week from Thursday, there's our International Forgiveness Alliance, which is reaching into the Congress and the United Nations at this point, Bob just told me, is having a fundraising dinner, and Rabbi Michael Lerner is going to be one of the speakers. So don't forget to see Bob afterwards for any more information about that. And I also want to mention that we are signing up for fall classes. There is still room in the Treatment and Meditation Spiritual Practices for Daily Living class. There is still room in Carol's New Foundations class. And also Posey, who's unfortunately ill today, is going to be teaching a 4-week non-certificated class on relationship, brand new curriculum, never been done here before. So if you really want to learn how you can stand in what you stand for, regardless of whatever relationship you're in the moment, and connect again with that ultimate relationship with God and be working from there on all your relationships, do sign up for that. This is the education table over here. There's no requirement for the course, and it's just 4 weeks long. So it's, as I say, a brand new curriculum. And I just keep meaning to say that if you've never taken a class here and you're thinking that it's like high school or college, forget it. Our classes are not like any class you've ever taken anywhere else before in your life. These classes are engaging, experiential, active, and deepening. It's not about reading a book and talking about what you read. It's way, way, way bigger than that. So again, sign-ups are over here at this table. And finally, we have some visitors today from the East Bay. Where's Robert? Is he here? There he is. Reverend Robert from the East Bay Church. And we're doing a kind of community trade. They're announcing the Beckwith event, and we would like to announce that they're having a symposium this Saturday called Prayer is the Answer at their church. It's $35, and it's all day long on Saturday. They'll be outside in the lobby to take sign-ups today. And their speakers include not only their wonderful Reverend Eloise, but Dr. Arthur Chang from Founders Church, Reverend Gregory Toole from Home Office, and our own sweetheart, Fred Luskin. So do think about that for this Saturday. You could go to Beckwith Friday night and wake up the next morning and immerse yourself in Prayer is the Answer. So without further ado, and before I go away, let me just welcome all our newcomers and say that we really hope that you will find that you have found home here with us. And we honor the unique expression of spirit that you are. We see it, and we just bless you and welcome you into our community. And Carol will be at the newcomers table after service to welcome you. So without further ado, here she is.
Thank you, Michael. Just a little clarification. The tables, the education table and the events table that are usually in our space here are back here due to our abundance program that we're in the middle of. And I just want to say, for those of you who are here for the first time, although we will be speaking about financial commitment to this community, just don't think that that's directed to you unless you fall in love and want to sign up. But otherwise, I also want to say that I will be offering a new section of a class that really has changed the atmosphere of our community for the ones who have taken it, and that's Prosperity Plus. And that will start the first Tuesday of November, and the sign-ups are right back there. Okay. Well, Are y'all keeping up with your homework here? No. That's why I'm here to sort of bring you along. This wonderful book, The Art of Possibility, we are working through for the whole year. There's 12 chapters in it. We're on chapter 10. And the book, Art of Possibility, is designed, as is our entire philosophy, to assist you, support you, lift you up, and celebrate you in creating for yourself the most wonderful life possible. And we haven't done this for a while. Much, much more is possible than I ordinarily think. Okay, let's do that. It's much, much more is possible than I ordinarily think. Yes, okay. So as we get to the end of the book, the lessons get harder, or maybe it's just me. But the chapter 10 that we're on now is called Being the Board. And that means that not only are we playing the game on the board, but we're actually, our life is the board. And so it's about giving up the last vestiges of victimhood. As much as we like to clam onto our favorite aspect of that, if you have anything stronger than a preference when something happens that you don't like, if you can just say, wow, I'd prefer that this thing happened, but this is happening, so I'll just go with this. If there's anything stronger than that, there's a little bit of victimhood left there, and this chapter is for you, and need I say, for me as well. So it's about even the subtle things like keeping score a little bit. If we have a tendency to say, oh, there she goes again. If we have a tendency to say, if only, la, 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 there's a little bit of victimhood that stands in the way of us having the most full, beautiful, resplendent life possible. So in this chapter, there is a fabulous story about letting go of victimhood and being 100% responsible for your life. And let me just say, Suzanne Mabarty's wonderful altar is about 100%. She has some ancient boomerangs, and you can come up and feel them if you want to. But a boomerang is 100% doing its thing, as is Kuan Yin. She is 100% compassion. And so this altar is about you being in a world where 100% you is celebrated. So remember that Ben Zander, one of the authors here, is a conductor, a symphony conductor. So this is his story. Mendelssohn's Italian Symphony starts off as though the music is making a joyful sprint toward a double handspring that catapults it to a high trapeze. Mendelssohn gives the winds 11 quick steps before the violins make their first energetic somersault, but in one concert, while I was pointing to the winds, a single violinist came in with exuberance and gusto after just 5 steps. It was the kind of confident violin playing you can't help admiring. But it left us out there in space, no trapeze within our grasp. For the first time in my conducting career, I stopped a performance. In front of more than 1,000 people, I smiled to the orchestra and said to myself, how fascinating. And that's one of the lessons. And began the piece again. This time, of course, there was no mishap. Afterward, someone associated with the orchestra asked me in a hushed voice, would you like to know who came in early in the Mendelssohn? Whether it was the slightly conspiratorial nature of the question that put me off, or whether it was that such a question was in disturbing contrast with the spiritedness of the music that we had just performed, I found myself saying no abruptly, and then adding, I did it. And then, of course, he makes the statement that he didn't really do it. He wasn't the violinist that came in early. But he said, in the context of the great music we had just made, it seemed absurd to me to consider handing out blame. It would only divide us. And for what? I think in retrospect that my "I did it" response represented even more than that. I was saying that I was willing to be responsible for everything that happened in my orchestra. In fact, I felt enormously empowered and liberated by doing so. Oh my gosh. So I just want you to think back to a time when someone made a boo-boo and you could have done this high thing of claiming 100% responsibility, even though you weren't at fault, but that you accepted the wholeness of the experience. Like, I really, really try to imagine that I am 100% responsible for the Sunday service. I do a lot that is about that. But you know, Bodie is 100% responsible for the Sunday service as well. And if something happened, he would say something, he would play something, he would sing something, he would do a meditation. Something would happen because both of us are 100% responsible for what happens here. So when you think about what Ben Zander did, we haven't had an intruder recently that comes in and starts screaming. We had one on an Easter Sunday long, long ago, and I think it was Jay Gustafson that was very lovely with him. Anyway, I digress. Ben Zander did not take the blame. He did not throw the blame. He did not do this wonderful thing out of protecting the violinist, and he certainly didn't do it out of his own ego. He did it out of ownership of the orchestra and the fact that the harmonious, wonderful energy, the synergy, the ongoing trust was more important than doling out blame. Now, what we're more familiar with, of course, is that whole reward and punishment model, the approval and disapproval. And so it's like we apportion responsibility. You know, I'm responsible for the Sunday talk. Other people are responsible for setting up the tables. Other people are responsible for bringing the food. And if something doesn't happen, it is natural for us to say, well, where was the breakdown? And who can we talk to? It's kind of ingrained in us. And then there is a higher place. And so I just want you to feel is taking 100% responsibility for your life or apportioning responsibility and therefore blame, which feels better. It's a high lesson. I think it's an advanced lesson. But if everyone did it in the world, do you think we'd have more peace? Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So the best idea, really the best idea, is to let go of fault, blame, guilt, and guilt throwing. Now, guilt throwing is when you say something to someone and your intent is not just getting information across, but making them feel slightly bad. You know, I remember when I used to ask my kids to do the dishes. You know, it's not like this is important that we all participate in the household, and would you please do the dishes, like, for the 49th time? You know, I did say upon occasion, the dishes are still there. That wasn't just getting information across, right? So, and although the Old Testament has a lot of rules and a lot of punishment when you break the rules, as we evolve into the New Testament and into the new metaphysics, there is really nothing but forgiveness. And in fact, you know, I remembered the Lord's Prayer. Forgive our debts as we forgive our debtors. But you know, that wasn't the way I first wrote it when I typed up my talk. I love the prayer because of the plural first person. It includes everyone, and that's a lovely inclusive thing. But when you make it I instead of we, it nails you. Forgive my debts as I forgive my debtors. That really says, as I have a forgiving spirit, and as people have harmless passage through my mind, and as I do not judge and blame and throw guilt, that will not happen for me. And then there's the golden rule in every single religion. Only do to your brothers and sisters what you would like them to do to you. And then as we move into metaphysics, there is, from Emma Curtis Hopkins, one of Ernest Holmes, our founder's teachers, she said, "I do not blame myself or the world for this." Say that watching the news. I do not blame myself or the world for this. And then I turn to my copy of Spiritual Liberation, and just this is what I do. When I listen to someone, I take notes, my own notes in the book, because then they're right there, and I tend to like throw out notes like 3 years from when I listen to them. I go, when was this? What was this? But I know. So this is what Michael Beckwith said the last time he was around. I am a rebroadcaster of the Word of God. As I live in this consciousness, I walk into a room and the presence of God becomes more powerful than the experience of conflict and separation. My mandate is to give individuals back to themselves. All that people look for is the power and presence already within. So, if an experience is not to our liking, the advanced student says, with 100% ownership, how is it that I have become a context for this to occur? And then we examine that without putting guilt or blame on ourselves. And I want to make this distinction here that there is a difference between what happens and lands in your life and the meaning that you ascribe to it. Like the greatest teacher in my life was when I had cancer, which is now more than 12 years ago. I had prayers said for me that assumed that I was wanting to die, that I was confused, or that I was angry. And I was none of those things. I wanted a deeper experience of life, and by golly, I got it, and I continued to receive that blessing, not in spite of my journey with cancer, but because of it. Now that's the meaning that I have put to that. It is a blessing. And that's one of the things that you can come out with when you say, how did this happen in the context of my life? So, oh dear. How did I do that? How did that happen? It just went... Okay, you don't need to read it. You don't need to read it. Oh, God, it's so funny. The PowerPoint that just zipped by is something I want you to repeat for yourself and for me. My experience is my creation. Say that.
My experience is my creation.
Again.
My experience is my creation.
That is right. Your experience of business, your experience of your body, your experience of your personal life, your experience here at GGCSL is your creation. It's time to let go of blame, fault, guilt, and throwing guilt. And it's easy peasy just to give it to God. So we're going to have a little chant, a little moment of silence with that, moving into the next thing. Let's see if we can just hop to the right place here. There we go.
I surrender my life to the love of God. I surrender my life to the love of God. And I let it all go, and I let it all be. I surrender my life to the love of God.
We'll do that a couple more times. You have it now.
I surrender my life to the love of God. I surrender my life to the love of God. And I let it all go. And I let it all surrender my life to the love of God. I surrender my life to the love of God. And I let it all go, and I let it all be. I surrender my life to the love of God.
Coming back. And as I call Francine up to talk about our Do-It-Yourself Abundance Program, just to sit with that possibility that your experience of your own abundance is entirely your creation.
It's fascinating when these ideas come together, this idea of this, what we used to call pledge program that came up weeks and weeks ago, and Carol's talk coming together today about taking responsibility. Because we're calling this year the Do-It-Yourself Abundance Giving Program. And what that's really all about is what Carol just talked about, taking responsibility for everything that we create. So let me recap in case you weren't here last week. And if you were last week, then you're just supposed to hear it again for some reason. So every year we give the opportunity for you to determine how much you want to give to this community. And in the past, we've set a goal. The leaders have sort of told you this is what we need. And this year we're doing it differently. We're doing it exactly according to the way Carol just spoke today. We are creating from the ground up. We are choosing what we are creating, and we're taking responsibility for creating this community, for creating the vessel and filling the vessel that allows us to have church here, that allows us to have Carol do all that she does, that allows us to have Bodhi, that allows us all of these things that we do. We get to create from the ground up. Do it yourself. And so I wrote this for myself, what I heard just now. I am willing to be responsible for everything that happens in my orchestra, and I'm changing that to be in my community. And so does that mean I'm willing to be responsible for financially supporting the entire community? Does that mean I have to take that on of some big heavy thing of how much to give? This is how I take this. My responsibility for this community. I am willing to be responsible for the consciousness that allows this to be everything I see it to be when I vision, when I download that idea from Spirit. I take responsibility for doing what I can, where I am, and where I intend to be. So that's how I interpret that, taking responsibility in my life. And so I want to thank first everyone that gave, or everyone that filled out a pledge card last week. I want to thank you so much for that demonstration, coming forward right away. And I thank in advance everybody that's filling out a pledge card this week. And as we said last week, we have identified kind of 4 places that we tend to be around giving. And we're going to have, if you could come forward, we're going to have 4 people speak from those 4 different places of automatic giving, of tithing, of being a financial warrior in today's conditions, and of beginning with giving. And last week we had people that spoke about that. And this week we're going to add a little something. I've asked them to add a little something to their stories, which is, it actually takes exactly from Michael Beckwith. I've memorized this because it's so important. Michael Beckwith says 100% of our spiritual growth is all about what we release. There is nothing for us to gain. We are already all that. We are already the presence and the power. It is all about releasing. So I've asked each person in their talk to share their experience of moving into that level of giving and what they had to release in order to do that. And so first of all, Anne is going to speak with us about automatic giving.
Thank you. I'm Ann Sullivan, and giving and tithing, for me, thank you, like an ice cream cone. Oh, I can do that. I'm Ann Sullivan, and for me, the difference for me of giving and tithing is commitment. I've always given. When I'm in church and the basket's passed, I always give. That's what I do. That's what I want to do. But at some point, I realized that it had changed. That church had become a home, a second home. That it became my spiritual home. And that I was becoming part of it, growing from it. And in that shift of feeling of belonging, I wanted to commit to tithing. I wanted to support the church that supported me. And in that change of feeling and movement, 2 years ago, we had auto tithing introduced to us. And I resisted that. And it was like, what's that? You know, I mean, really, wouldn't this make your life a little simpler? And there was still this, you know, I had to have a debate with myself about it, nothing simple. And in doing that, I realized that I had fear of doubt, that the monies would be there if I auto-tithed. I mean, that's turning it over. And I really wasn't quite ready to do that. I didn't. But so this is the way my mind works. It goes back and forth. So after I had a session of that, I decided to let that fear of doubt go. That wasn't the truth. And let go and let God in trust of knowing that the monies were there, would be there. That was 2 years ago I started auto tithing. I love doing it. It definitely has made my tithing easier, and I will continue to do that. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And if any of you wish to speak to anyone regarding auto tithing, please do so at the table behind me to the left after service. And thank you for being here. Have an inspired God day.
Thank you, Anne. And so if you're ready to move into automatic giving, auto tithing, Anne will be at the table afterwards just to ask her any questions, just to discuss some of the stuff that's, you know, you're working on within that. And if you sign up for auto tithe, just know you can auto tithe any amount. You can have $1 taken out of your bank account every minute. Or as much as you'd like taken out of your bank account. So feel free. Carol wanted me to mention any amount. It just came to me. So now I'm going to ask Frank, Bodie, I'm sorry. Bodie, I'm not sorry. I'm going to ask Bodie to talk about tithing.
Tithe means a tenth. A tenth of what? Tithing journey has been a long and winding road for me. When grain crop is portioned at 90-10, it's relatively simple. When the money comes in from several different sources, lots of businesses, and you're not sure it's coming, it's a bit more complex. I had questions like, do I tithe on gross income or net? Or who do I give the money to? Or is this really worth it? How can I pay the rent and tithe? How can I tithe and pay the rent? They didn't seem like they worked together in my life. So I've danced with these ideas for many years now. The quality I had to let go of in order to tithe was just enough to get by. I don't know if anybody else can relate to that, but as an artist and a world traveler, I've always lived on the edge of society, physically, financially, and artistically. The quality of God I moved into is faith, faith that I'm always taken care of. When I first started tithing, I felt very strongly like I was giving up something that was mine. After 20 years, I get that it's all the same source, and we all live on the same Mother Earth and share it equally with all of life. Tithing now is just a part of my life flow, a regular line item on my spending plan. I've been through many experiments with what amount to tithe and where to tithe. I've done net, gross, different percentages, tithing to many different kinds of spiritual inspiration places. I even tithed to myself a couple times just to play with it. 2 years ago, I settled into a routine. What works for me as a self-employed artist is an automatic calculation of 10% of my net earnings. Every 2 weeks or so, I add up my numbers, write a check to the Golden Gate Center. It's simple and fun, and to see how big I can make the check each time. I've settled into a relaxed, sustainable rhythm of regular tithing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bodie. Those are big shoes to step into. And I remember right here in this room when we saw Edwene Gaines and Bodie was asking Edwene about tithing, and she looked right back at him and said, "How big do you want to play?" That was powerful for all of us. Thank you.
And Edwene's big. She plays big.
When she talks, you listen. And so now I'm going to ask Frank to talk about what we call financial warriors.
Hi, everybody. I'm Frank Lang. I've been here since 1993. First time I came, I was invited by Susan Zitron Woods. Some of you may remember her. The very first time I came, I fell absolutely in love with a woman that was singing. I thought she was an angel. And I came back the next time to listen to her again, and of course we had somebody different. So I had to adjust to that and started listening to the minister.
Now there's a plug for music.
Indeed. It wasn't long before I went back to the back of the room and had my first prayer treatment, and I'm telling you it worked. I stood up the very first opportunity to become a member here without any question. When I got what a practitioner was, I decided that was something that I could do. And so I started taking classes, and within 4 years I was a practitioner, and to this day it is one of my proudest life accomplishments. Everything has been easy. I mean, this is easy. Okay? It just unfolds naturally. My spiritual life here is unfolded naturally. There's a home here for my Buddhist, Christian, Reformed, vegetarian, yogi soul, which is now also a religious scientist soul. As Lloyd says, I'm a religious scientist when I remember to be. And one thing that has always been easy for me is to give to this church. And I mean to keep it easy. Some of the other areas of my life, especially over the last few years, have not been so easy. My business life has taken some serious hits, and I've had to make adjustments. I'm sure many of you feel the same way. But I always try to make giving to this church easy. I've had to adjust what I give to the church, and I've noticed that as I've done so, the church has also made adjustments. I've been on the inside here. I've been on the board a couple of times. I know the responsibility, level of responsibility that this church leadership takes, and I know the sacrifices that people have made to keep this thing going, and all of us need to decide that this is something that we do want to keep going. For me, ownership here is natural and easy. So I don't think about not giving. I give. I just simply write a check, and every time I do, I release the appearance of scarcity. I take the opportunity to pray into the situation, to be grateful for the things that I do have in my life. I mentioned that my business life has been going through some changes. Well, I'm not out of work. You know, I've always got money coming in. I just have less coming in than I used to have. So every time I do write a check, I do it with a sense of gratitude. I do it with a sense of keeping this going. I do it with a sense of letting go the difficulties that others of us might, focus on. I let that go. I do. And I do it in the sense of praying into what we're doing here. So I ask you to join me. The pledge program here is a very important part of what we do. We need to be able to budget. We need to be able to know what's coming in. And each of us needs to give in an identifiable way. An identifiable way that works for you, but that you can pray on, that you can pray with, that you can join in, whether you choose to become a board member or do something service or not. You can always keep this thing going and help to keep it going by giving in an identifiable way. So that is what the pledge program is about. I'll be in the back after the service.
Thank you, Frank. I think many of us can relate to that in the economy, and it's a very powerful practice of giving. And so I am going to speak to the beginners of giving. And I just want you to know that as I look out, I don't see a single beginner in this room of any part of life. However, giving in a way of identifying your gift ahead of time for us might be something new to you. And I don't want to presume what kind of thing is up for each one of us to release as they go through that, because I think it's very individual. But if you're thinking about taking responsibility for this community, for what happens here, for co-creating with us what we experience here, I'll be at the table designated for beginners, and I would love to just answer your questions, help you make that decision. There's tables for each one of these groups. I specifically want to point out when Bodhi mentioned tithing in the 10%, there's something called the Michigan Farm Experiment. That's fascinating, and that's on the tithing table. There's materials on every table, and I welcome you to just go to all the tables and gather them all up, because there's some really juicy stuff for you. And so this experience, as I always say, it is twofold. It is one, because we really are creating this community. And I will say that even though we don't have a goal that we're telling you about, people have asked. In the past, we have required as much as $400,000 a year to operate this community in the way we've experienced it in some past years. More recently, it takes about $300,000 to operate in a somewhat more pared down way that we have been. So it's your decision of what to co-create, and I invite you to visit these tables, make some decisions, let us all help each other, and fill out a card today. And I think that's it. I thank you. I thank you for being here, co-creating, taking responsibility with me, and thank you in advance for what we're creating for next year.
So as Bodhi gets ready for his next song, I just want to say that I wrote out my pledge card before service today. It's in the basket on the automatic giving table. We are able to do that automatic giving from a checking, a savings account, a credit card, or a debit card. That helps us a lot. So I want you to join me also in supporting this wonderful community, because I want to stay here. I want you guys to stay here. I want us to grow and thrive and experience the joy of God's abundance. Please welcome Bodhi again.
I had an experience a couple of weeks ago, a new experience. I actually had, in a dream, these angels gave me this song. And it was really very powerful. It overtook me for about 4 days. I couldn't think of anything else but this song. And I woke up with this song in my head, and I thought it was kind of cute, so I thought I'd share it with you. It's called I Will Come For You at Dawn. 'Twas early fall, I awoke from a dream of angel voices in the wind. The story they told I will tell you now, so close your eyes and we shall begin. A young girl asked her daddy one day, what makes the world go round? He replied, 'tis love, my dear, and when this you know, your heart will be found. She believed him and set her course, sailed to freedom like a bird. With love as her compass, if she ever got lost, her daddy would sing to her these words. Even though the seas may rage with storm and fires of doom may burn, I will ride a trail of wind and rain, and I will come for you at dawn. And when this maiden came of age, she loved a young man full of dreams. He said to her, I must go and find myself, but I'll tell you this before I go. Even though the seas may rage with storm and fires of doom may burn, I will ride a trail of wind and rain, and I will come for you at dawn. Life was full and great work she had done, children of her own. And when her daughter was afraid one day, she sang to her, you are not alone. For though the seas may rage with storm and fires of doom may burn, I will ride a trail of wind and tears, and I will come for you at dawn.